Irish guy, and Jack Grealish has been a Manchester City footballer for 406 days. Can I critique him yet? He's had 58 Monday mornings where he's woken up with an extra fat 300,000 grand a week salary stuffed in his bank account. Honestly, Manchester City, through salary alone, have already made this man £17.4 million richer. I mean, chuck in his extra pocket change he'll make from having signed on with Gucci, despite looking like he washes his hair with dog poop. Oh yeah, and his big fat contract with Nike. Then lads, Jack Grealish would have made close to £25 million in a year. And lads, you just know he's not stopping there. He's a guy who's probably gonna have about 3 weddings and sell all the photos to Hello. I mean, minimum wage in England is what? £17 an hour, right? Yeah, this guy makes 30 quid a minute. In the length of time it takes him to do a sneeze, he'll have pocketed enough money for a chicken roll. So, great. Well done, Jack. This guy is rich enough to hire the FBI to wipe my entire family off planet Earth if he so wished. Honestly, this guy could probably just press one number on his phone and suddenly my grandmother's getting pushed down the stairs. This guy has a guaranteed 5 years left of employment on wages of £300,000 a week. He is legally entitled to £87 million more from Manchester City FC. Honestly, as it stands, he will be 32 years old and earning 300k every single week. Yeah. Martin Odegaard earns £79,000 a week. This guy earns 6 times more than Luis Diaz. To be fair, that probably says more about how Diaz's agent is probably just Lionel Hutz. I mean, you've got the next Luis Suarez on your hands, and you've negotiated £56,000 a week. Less money than Brandon Williams and Emil Kraft. I mean, was your law degree written on the back of a KFC receipt? 56k! Joey Barton was earning more than that in prison 15 years ago. But lads, if you're new here, then slap that big fat red subscribe button. You absolute legends. Anyway, back into the video. Now, before you start, yes, I know, before the World Cup, I'm gonna have to go and get a selfie with Jack Grealish because Man City won the league. I'm going to have to find him, but lads, right now, trying to find Grealish, it's like trying to locate a hobbit in the hills of Donegal. I mean, I was all ready to get Grealish at St James's Park last month, but guess what? He didn't even make the matchday squad. Pep Guardiola does not rate Jack. And neither should you. Forget the quirkiness. Forget how the tabloids assess over this man as if he was the English Brad Pitt. In reality, I promise you, he is just the modern day Yossi Benayoun. I mean, what? Their goal scoring stats are very similar. They're both live wire wasps with good dribbling ability and technical skill, but at best, 8 goals a season. And guess what, lads? He never cost anyone more than 6 million quid. Honestly, the tabloids love Grealish for the same reason they love Harry Styles. All you need to be is just a messy-haired maverick playboy who doesn't play by society's rules. Because honestly, it can't be for the talent. Honestly, if Jack Grealish winds up on a date with Taylor Swift, I think the media might actually melt. Grealish is going to have cost Manchester City £240 million over a 6-year deal. 6 years. 6 years! I mean, who dared sanction this? He can literally sit on his hands until the year 2027. City fans, you've potentially got half a decade more of this. You wanted the second coming of David Silva. Now, it's the second coming of David Bentley. I mean, really, 6 years? Doesn't that just stink of a prison sentence? 300 grand a week. Roy Keane won 7 Premier League titles and never took home more than a penny above 90k a week. Just saying. The most startling thing about this is that the ability of Grealish, he could realistically have been a Manchester City signing back when they were poor. Because yeah, back in 2005, this club had a £4 million bid rejected by Fulham for Steve Bronk. What? While in England, he scored nearly 40 goals from the left wing. I mean, Sean Wright-Phillips was scoring 10 goals a season from the right wing. And expecting Grealish to ever hit double digits in the league is a bit like expecting Jimmy Fallon to tell a funny joke. Yeah, you'll be waiting until you're dead. I mean, the club even tried to buy Ronaldinho before the takeover. Back in July 2008, it was a £22 million bid. Again, Grealish cost 5 times that. Oh boy! I'm gonna say this. He is single-handedly the worst transfer in the history of football. What? Tell me I'm wrong! He is the 6th most expensive transfer in the history of the game.
Oh, no way! Philip Coutinho is the worst transfer!
Yeah, okay. There is the narrative out there that Coutinho was an overweight slug at Barcelona and that the mere sight of him at the Nou Camp, it was a bit like watching a donkey try to swim. That Barcelona choosing to part with £120 million for some Brazilian snow globe, someone with the passing accuracy of a cheese hamburger. What a laughable disgrace, right? Lads, stop. While at Barcelona, Coutinho played 106 times, scored 25 goals and registered 14 assists. I think we all know that Grealish would rip off his scalp with a fork to even touch those sort of numbers that the Eddie had. Because right now, he scored 6 goals and registered 4 assists. I mean, these stats are eerily similar to the numbers he was hitting for Aston Villa under 21s back when he was playing against teenage footballers who these days are now probably selling Toblerones at the airport. Jack Grealish has failed to score or assist in 35 of his first 44 matches for Manchester City in all competitions. He cost £1/10 billion. No, Coutinho wasn't great, but don't forget he did start really well. 11 goals and 7 assists in his first 28 games, one of which was a goal in a 5-1 win over Real Madrid. And let's not forget, he was only on the losing side twice in his first 55 games in a Barca shirt. And yet people like to pretend that this Samba baller is actually just Brazil's answer to Toad of Toad Hall. That yeah, suddenly he's got the technique of scrambled egg, the professionalism of a dead toilet duck, and he's probably spends every afternoon having a live-in nurse feed him donuts on the toilet, right? Well, I'm sorry, where's the same energy for Jack? I've always said he was overrated to a laughable degree. I mean, this is what I said over 2 years ago, August 2020.
Jack Grealish is apparently worth £80 million. He's not even half the player Juan Mata was in 2012.
Yeah, Mata is currently a Spanish lump of potato playing in a Galatasaray team with Patrick Van Aanholt, Lucas Torreira and Baffa Timbigomi, and Milo Rashica. You know that Norwich City flop? Oh, a European champion like Mata being forced to be in the presence of the football goblins. Oh, it's a bit like a famous celebrity like Snoop Dogg being invited to a birthday party and being forced to hang out with aging pensioners who like to eat cake off a toilet seat. But lads, Mata's a guy who's got 138 goals and 157 assists in his career. Lads, he had one season at Chelsea where, despite playing under a rigid defensive board like Rafa Benitez, someone who liked creativity about as much as you'd like kissing a spider in the bath, Mata still scored 19 times and registered 35 assists. I mean, think about that. Nearly 40 assists in one season. And the only strikers he had to work with were a broken Fernando Torres and Demba Ba, someone who once failed at medical at Stoke. I mean, Grealish has Erling Haaland in his team. That's all I'm gonna say.
If you're being snooty or judgmental or anything aside from simply just appreciating the brilliance of Jack Grealish, you really don't get it. Grealish is everything I want in a footballer. Dazzling talent, bags of personality and a heart of gold. Proper fella, love him.
Sorry, excuse me when I vomit all over the floor. Is this really it? Because everyone's got a man crush on someone who looks like he's got the daily hygiene of Shrek. A heart of gold. He crashed his car on his way to a lockdown party. Back when most of you were sitting inside watching Tiger King and playing Strip Twister with your mum.
Oh, Irish guy, you're just salty because Grealish said no to Ireland.
Am I though? Do you really think that if Grealish was in an Irish shirt, that suddenly he'd have a statue on the Liffey? Lads, he's a worse footballer than peak Damien Duff. I mean, I'd like to see Grealish score against Barcelona in the Champions League, and considering Jack's end product, he'd just be our modern Aidan McGeady. 93 caps, 5 goals. I mean, remember when Gareth Southgate dared to leave him on the bench for nearly every Euro 2020 match? And people were honestly almost crying in the streets. To me, I was more confused by why Jadon Sancho was sitting on the bench. I mean, Pep Guardiola is a football genius, and Manchester City are a well-run company. But you sold Sancho for £7 million and would eventually buy Grealish for 100. That is a £93 million loss to effectively have a worse footballer on the left wing. But you know what? I blame the world for hyping up Grealish to a laughable degree. It's all your fault. I mean, is it because he's a right proper lad who belongs on Geordie Shore, who clearly likes to drink whiskey out of a shoe? Is it because he's a quirky wild child who likes to wear shin pads for children? I'm sorry, bro, that's not a lovable quirky trait. That's just downright creepy. Imagine seeing a nearly 30-year-old man hanging out in the children's section of a clothes shop, and especially seeing someone who looks like he eats his lunch from a bin. Oh, the clerk would soon be alerting the police. I mean, when Jack Grealish next blows out the candles on a birthday cake, he will be 28 years of age and has 44 career goals to his name. He has netted just 18 times in the Premier League. 18! He's nearly 30! I mean, Clint Dempsey scored 17 in one season alone, and he was just some plump farmer from Texas. This is a £100 million superstar who scored less goals in the Premier League than Robbie Savage and Robert Huth. I mean, Michu only played 2 seasons in England and still has more Premier League goals than this human lump of spaghetti. He has scored less times in this league than Connor Wickham, who honestly had the goal scoring ability of a Badger's knob. Grealish is tied on 18 goals with the likes of Danny Graham, Phil Jagielka and Vincent Kompany. Someone who was so unconvincing in front of goal that he actually had to listen to his own teammates begging him not to shoot. Ozzy, when he lined up that world against Leicester City, the likes of Sergio Aguero looked like he was going to faint, just frozen with fear. You know, as if he was watching his grandma about to accidentally eat the cat. No wonder Gareth Southgate doesn't rate Grealish's end product, because he was just an average dull as mustard centre half for Middlesbrough, someone with the natural ability of a Twix, and still, £100 million Jack only has 1 more Premier League goal than him. I mean, come on, why did Manchester City write such a fat paycheck for someone who at the time had less Premier League goals than Joe Allen, Ryan Babel and Dean Windass. He doesn't score goals. I'm convinced the football world was duped when Jack Grealish admittedly utterly savaged Liverpool in that 7-2 win in October 2020. That was the moment where everyone decided that he was the big summer transfer to make. But I'm sorry, when Aston Villa let everyone know that his buyout clause was £100 million, what both Manchester clubs should have done was laugh, because that wasn't the realistic clause. In the same way over there in Spain, Pedri has a 1.1 billion, yes, billion release clause in his Barcelona contract. Yeah, considering that not so long ago, those clubs' employees were probably having to get showered in the sink, I'm pretty sure they would happily sell for a fifth of that clause. I mean, Andreas Christensen has an £860 million release clause. I mean, he's a decent defender, but honestly, how laughably overpriced. That's like walking into a shop and being quoted 50 quid for a Freddo bar. Yeah, you'd be tempted to sneeze blood out your nose. I mean, this is far too big a move for Jack. Look, when Villa were wallowing in the Championship under Steve Bruce, Tottenham submitted a £25 million bid. That was the move to make.
BBC, Grealish furious at Villa for rejecting Tottenham bid.
That was the transfer. Putting him into a Tottenham attack alongside Son Heung-min and Harry Kane, playing under Mauricio Pochettino. I mean, he's a very similar player to Adam Lallana, and he worked very well under Poch. He'd have probably reached similar levels. 10 goals a season. Except in this case, he'd been playing in a Champions League final. Then he might be enjoying a decent career. But Manchester City, playing in Pep Guardiola's Super Bowl philosophy of quick one-touch passing. No, Grealish likes to hog the ball and do it himself. So why is he at the Etihad? No wonder he barely plays anymore. This move is way too big for him. And Manchester City, you've only got yourselves to blame. All you had to do was just read Grealish's old tweets from 2012.
Love listening to Drake while going to sleep, smiley face. Off to sleep for a bit, then up for the United game tonight. Hashtag Red Devils.
Then this was on the eve of the Manchester derby.
En route to training. Finally I'm back training and the sun's shining. Absolutely buzzing for the game tonight. Come on you Reds, United.
Yeah, last May, every Man City player was interviewed about where they were when Sergio Aguero scored that incredible title-winning goal against QPR. Wonder where Jack was back then. Oh, that's right. By his phone.
Football is on, please United win and City lose. I cannot watch City win the league, lol. Come on the Villa as well, hashtag AFVFC.
Cannot watch City win the league. Well, 10 years later, I guess you could, from the comfort of the bench, against Aston Villa. You weren't even allowed to play. Awkward much? The English hype. Imagine if Hatem Ben Arfa had been born in Hull. This man, an absolute genius in his feet. And yeah, the English love a troubled maverick, right? Just so they can compare you to Paul Gascoigne. Honestly, yeah, Ben Arfa, magic in his feet, world-class dribbling. The English media would have been referring to him as Baza. I'm sorry, Ben Arfa, at his absolute best, when he was Grealish's age, at Nice, the best version of Ben Arfa, he was head and shoulders above Grealish. He was better than Grealish will ever be, and I will die on that hill. I mean, Alison Maximin is also a better player than Grealish. I could be here all day. I could give you a shopping list the length of a Christmas tree of underrated wingers better than poor old Jack. He should be nowhere near the England squad for the World Cup. Absolutely nowhere near. I mean, every squad needs a wildcard pick, right? And lad, weirdly, before the last World Cup, the English media were trying to get Leon Bailey in the squad. Have you heard him speak? He's Jamaican. But to me, if the squad is picked on merit, then Grealish will be spending this Christmas eating popcorn in his bedroom, while Marcus Edwards takes his place. A 23-year-old attacking talent ripping it up in the Champions League with Sporting Lisbon. I mean, why not? Even Anthony Gordon has done more at Everton inside the last year than Grealish. Lads, even Fabio Carvalho was still eligible for an England call. And since the FA love to steal other countries' players, why not just give him a buzz? But Grealish, leave him at home. And lads, I would hate to see a massive flop rot away a club's finances over 6 years. But that's what Grealish can legally do. Be the modern day Winston Bogart. Someone who just chose to eat Big Macs on his couch during his £40,000 a week deal at Chelsea for 4 years. I mean, this is what he said.
Why should I throw €50 million away when it was already mine? At the moment I signed, it was in fact my money, my contract.
He played 11 games. But is that what Grealish is going to do? Dig in his heels and spend the next 5 years on the City bench? But if he wants to save his career, then quit the Etihad in January. This is not the club for you. A step backwards to Aston Villa, maybe, if you want to be the next Wilfred Zaha, but I think a move to Arsenal. Go to the Emirates and rival Gabriel Martinelli for a spot on the left wing. Honestly, a £40 million move to Arsenal, and then yeah, maybe he might be able to carve out a career on par with Thomas Brzezinski. But right now, the Grealish that I am watching with my bare eyes, he's not even as good as peak Adam Lallana. What do you, let me know in the comments, what do you think? Alright, is Grealish the real deal? Of course he's not. Let me know if you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe. Talk to you in a while.